A very good evening and warm welcome to Dan Really Likes Wine, presented by Pick and Pay. And first of all, my apologies if you were sitting around the world weeping on Monday. Where is my favorite online wine show on the planet? Where has it gone? Well, I'm afraid we had a few technical difficulties with a couple of our guests, and we just didn't make it, I'm afraid. So did give you a Monday off, but we shall make up for it today, because the show we were going to have on Monday, we managed to move out and shuffle and juggle around a bit. And so the celebration that was becomes the celebration that is, as we look ahead to this weekend's Sanlam Cup Classique and Champagne Festival happening in Johannesburg at Inanda. It is a splendid event. It is full of people who are exceedingly well dressed, having a wonderful time, drinking some great champagne, but also matching it up with the outstanding Cup Classique that continues to define South Africa as one of the world's leading producers of bubbles. We'll be speaking to houses of both Champagne and Cup Classique on this evening's show as we throw forward to Darielle Robertson's latest extravaganza, and that will be happening just a little later on. Also on the show, we're going to be running through a couple of bits of news, which I will do in a moment. I can also tell you that we'll be rather busy. In fact, it's been a busy week already. Last night, got to catch up with Gerard Holden and try some of his new releases from Holden Mount in Franschhoek. There's nothing subtle, and this is not in a bad way, about Gerard's wines. They are big, they are broad-shouldered, they are like Gerard themselves. They're larger than life, but full of appeal and friendliness. And Gerard's newest ones with Thierry, his French winemaker, who's made wine all around the world, continue what is fast becoming one of Franschhoek's stronger winemaking legacies. So look out for those coming up, including the proprietor's white blend, a lovely array of wines put into that blend. So those are either out or just about to be out. Tomorrow, I'm off in the Cup Classique theme to the very first session of the new Cup Classique Academy. Heidi Dermany will be overseeing that in partnership with the great Peter Bubbles Ferreira, a chance to look not just at wine as an educational platform, but at Cup Classique itself, South African bubbles, and to start what I suspect will be the first of many courses, but we'll have the crew down there tomorrow, and you can see in the next few weeks exactly what that involves. So that's going to be cool. And then, of course, there is the festival this weekend. And then on Monday, I will be down at Brookdale in Paarl, where Chiara will be showcasing her new wine. I'll be having a look at Brookdale for the first time. I haven't been down there. So it's a busy few days for Dan Really Likes Wine. There's also that incredible festival over the weekend. But before we talk about it and meet some of the people involved in the wines that will be showcased at the Cup Classique Festival with Sanlam Private Wealth, let's have a quick look at one or two other items happening in the world of wine. Is anybody not doing stuff that is seriously cool over the course of Easter? We've told you about things happening at Boschendal and at Nederburg. If you're still trying to decide what to do, this is probably only going to complicate matters. But Hazendal, Christoffel Hazenwinkel's farm that got going over 300 years ago because of the Hazens that are there, which is Dutch for hares, or by at a stretch for rabbits. The Easter Bunny, I suspect, will be out and feeling generous, and there are going to be plenty of Easter adventures to have a look out for at Hazendal. It really is a remarkable estate. They're going to be doing all manner of things out there, Easter hampers, picnics. They've got the golf course out there. They've got the Russian tea room. You can see that they really have thrown heart and soul into the estate. And it's a bit of a wonderland to go and visit. So that might be one to pencil in if you decide that Easter is somewhere to be spent in the winelands. Boschendal, Nederburg also looking terrific, but there is your option if you're deciding to head out to go and join Hazendal for Easter. And then this is what we're talking about this evening. You can see that's Paul Rene being poured. That was the top performing Cup Classique at last year's Old Mutual Wine Trophy. It's the Inanda Polo Club, Sanlam Private Wealth, bringing you the Johannesburg Cup Classique and Champagne Festival. There are tickets left, but there are not many. You book those web tickets, it gets you your glass, it gets you your tasting vouchers, you get into a best dressed competition, and I'm hoping Daryl Robertson will be with us shortly to run through the details. But most of all, it's just a great deal of fun being back with people, being back enjoying yourself, and drinking some really, really good bubbles. So that is one to look for this weekend. If you're in Johannesburg, do get down. Last few tickets are available at Web Tickets. So let's find out a bit more about what's happening. We've got a few people, I think, dropping in and out of the show over the course of the next hour. So bear with us as they come and go. But we do have two to kick off. One of them is responsible for bringing some rather nice French champagne into South Africa and trying to give Cup Classique a good run for its money. The other from Robertson, which competes, I feel, with Franschhoek as the spiritual home of bubbles in South Africa. Robertson, the older and more established, certainly. And together, they are going to be showcasing their wines this weekend. So let's nip over and meet, I think, the first two of our guests. Hello, lovely to have you on the show from Champagne Deutz, and Jacques Brouwer from the heart of Robertson, with wine I've drunk on many, many occasions. And it's wine you'll probably know reasonably well. So let's kick off with the one that might be slightly less familiar. Hello, welcome to Dan Really Likes Wine for the very first time, first of many, I'm sure. Introduce Champagne Deutz to us. Give us a little bit of history, the background of the champagne, and how it's come to be a fixture in South Africa.
Good afternoon, Dan. Thanks for having us. I'm from a company called McCoy. It's a fairly new, young company, which we established in 2019 with the desire to provide champagne or bubbly experiences. And the champagne that we are bringing is Deutz, which is coming from the village of Aye in France. We started working on the champagne, like on the work to bring the champagne to South Africa in the first talks that we had between myself and my partner. I work with my partner Itumeleng. He could not be here today. We started talking in 2018. And that's when we came across the champagne, and we thought that it was a beautiful champagne. We thought it could bring in some variety. It also presented the unique feature of producing the cuvées and basically using the first press of the grapes. Beautiful on the palate, very easy going. Great also to have as a champagne for dining. You can use it for whatever you want to use it for, but it also is great as a dining champagne. And we started looking for it around South Africa after we bumped into it, and we couldn't find it. And we both are champagne lovers, and we started the talks with the House of Deutz, which is in Aye. And following that, we had a trip to France, to Champagne, and we visited a number of growers, and we got to experience quite a lot of champagnes, across the villages of Aye. And long story short, we managed to get the rights to bring Champagne Deutz to South Africa and distribute Champagne Deutz to South Africa. And currently we have started only trading in this year, in 2022 in January. It's still, a challenging thing to break the barriers and enter the market, but the reception has been quite good. And we're hoping that with this event that we're going to be joining on Saturday, we'll have a lot of people who will be tasting and getting to experience the marvelous champagne.
There are many champagne brands which are immediately familiar. You mentioned a Mousse Chandon or one of the big houses, a Mum, for instance. People know them straight away. They'd also know Louis Roederer instantly, and that's got a link because I think it's the Rosenau family also own Deutz champagne, but the Deutz brand is not as well known. How challenging has it been to bring a brand that is very much a niche brand compared to those bigger labels, bring it into South Africa and find an audience for it?
I think the challenge is, it's kind of expected that it's not going to be just taken up, but we have found that there are people who have traveled to France and have come across the champagne and already know the champagne. We have so far, as I say, that we've only been activating since January. We have received quite a good reception. We've been able to list at Norman Goodfellas, which is one of the big retailers, at 3 of their stores. We have also listed at the Whiskey Brothers, and we've been making progress. It's still a bit slow, but I mean, we're looking for a healthy growth, not, a robust growth. But there also the difference is in terms of the production of, I must say, I'm not a very technical winemaker, but I got to understand as I was interested in the business. So it's not a huge, it's a medium-sized kind of champagne house with the production of about 3,000 bottles per year, and therefore does not compare with houses like Verve or Moët and Chandon in terms of the numbers that they produce. As a result, we're not trying to compete. We're trying to just bring variety and a different experience, options for people who would want to drink a cuvee from time to time. I think it may be challenging, but I don't think that it will be that hard to get people, because I think South Africans are very open to new things. And I think the consumption of champagne has really grown over the years. A lot of people are drinking more and more bubbly, in different forms. And today one may want to drink an MCC, tomorrow they want to drink a Prosecco. So I think we're just basically bringing an addition onto the list of varieties that people can have.
And probably not hurt by the fact that there is a great bubbles shortage around the world. Many of the premium drinks are in short supply, which possibly gives Classique an even greater opportunity to make a march into other parts of the world. Before we find out from our visiting producer today if that is the case, let's get a local history. Jacques Breuer, lovely to have you here. Very strange name that for the Robertson Valley, Breuer. You don't get many Breuers in Robertson from my previous visits, Jacques.
Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for having me, all the listeners. Breuer was, it's actually not Breuer. That was actually the original spelling of our French ancestors, which dates back about 9 generations ago, back into the Loire Valley. So that is why we decided to go with the Breuer instead of the Breuvert, which is actually, I think, just a Dutch mixture in the Breuer. So I was christened with the name Jacques, which is French. So I decided, well, why not go the French spelling then for the surname as well? And then, so we called it. We tried to do a product which we have to compete against the French, and so why don't we try to do it more like in their style? But then you have to go or make a wine which actually can compete with them, and that is what we're trying to do. And I think we quite succeeded in that.
You've become, as Robertson, a real home of bubbles. I don't think just for South Africa, but I think with the high profile of people like Peter Ferreira and then people like yourselves making wine that is finding more and more of an international following, bubbles that is really recognized as being a signature of Robertson. Why is that? What's allowed you, as the producers of Robertson, to really seize upon this space and make it your own?
Well, if I can say, Robertson basically for me is the capital for Cap Classique. Our soils, our terroir is very Chardonnay driven, so which is one of the classic cultivars which was used in Cap Classique. So yeah, over the years, I think at Bancarage, Three Rivers running through the estate, is that a lot of chalk and limestone were deposited over the years there at the floodplains of the Breede River and the two side branches we had. And that actually laid down for us the terroir, which we just needed to exploit. It was done by Danny de Wet in the 80s when he planted the first Chardonnay in Robertson. And when I actually got involved on the farm back in 1990, I decided to make a Cap Classique because it was just for me one of the ultimate styles of wine to produce, to undergo a second fermentation in a bottle. So that is for me extraordinary, and why not try it? And then what was actually done as an experiment became a wine for us that actually turned out very good. Our first production was done our first crushing was done in 1991 already, and I think over the years the Cap Classique just developed, and people were just coming to tell us, but listen, you must keep on doing this because it's basically tasting the real thing as the real thing. So I think our Cap Classiques in Robertson is basically the quintessential bubble.
It is also a bubble that ages really well. In fact, I've got sitting with me here some 2012 Blanc de Blanc, which I'm going to open in just a moment and probably drench myself in the process because that's what normally happens when I open Cap Classique. And I think that speaks to your philosophy, in that every time I visited you guys, the bubbles are always a little bit older, and we normally expect 2, 3, 4 years, but yours seem to be even more than that, and that appears to be at the heartbeat of your philosophy and your approach to making bubbles.
Yeah, for sure. We're on estate. Now we want it to be different in estate bubbles. Obviously, for me to be different is to keep it longer on the lees. We experimented in the early days, 2, 3 years, 4 years, and then it became 60 months, 5 years. And then in the end, I've decided that we want to go all the way and do the same stuff as the guys in Champagne does. And by going for an even extended time on the lease between 84 months and 96. So that is actually giving us just a more integrated bubble, more integrated flavors in the wine, and actually making the wines more round and subtle and creamy and rich. And that is actually what I feel a real Cap Classique should taste like. And to try and compare our stuff against the world, I think you need to go long term on the lease. For me, even if I can get it my way, I would like to release a 10-year-old vintage before you drink it. Actually,
put me in the queue to do some market research for you as and when you get there. Leading back into Champagne Deutz, we had a lot of discussions last year, Jacques, about Cap Classique, given it was the 50th anniversary of having employed the method and made it here in South Africa since that first day back in 1971. Are we at a stage now, do you feel, whereby the Champagne Cap Classique, it's no longer such a big argument, such a big comparison, in that we've done enough, we've established ourselves enough as a South African interpretation of bubbles, style of making it notwithstanding, that we don't need to try and present it as being South Africa's champagne and simply say this is South Africa's Cap Classique, and that's more than enough in its own right?
Yeah, for sure, definitely. I think Cap Classique, South African Cap Classique, has got its own right in the world, and I think what we've experienced of people tasting the wines, even the wines or the countries where we export our Cap Classique, people are starting to recognize the brand as a Cap Classique, and not even saying that it needs to be champagne. I know that people love to impress their wives or their girlfriends to when they celebrate. Obviously, it needs to be champagne, but I think Cap Classique has got its own right. We've got 50 years down the line, and I think our stuff can compare just as good as any of these against any wine in the world. So for me, I think definitely for sure we've made our mark, and I think we're just going to go better, and we try to produce the best of what we can do.
Which leads us nicely back to Champagne and Champagne Deutz in particular. In terms of the people that you speak to with this champagne, you don't make much of it, so it's very, very exclusive in terms of getting your hands on it. Are the people who are drinking Champagne Deutz the people who know a little bit more about champagne, who are looking for something a little bit more bespoke, a little less ostentatious in terms of brand, something that speaks to them as, well, hang on, this is a little bit more unique, this is a little bit rarer, perhaps?
Well, I think we've got to be careful because you know, as much as we would say that it's kind of a rare, more, you know, exclusive, more niche, we've got to allow people to experience the champagne and make choices for themselves. Jacques, I didn't know Jacques prior to this afternoon, and I'm pleased to hear what he's saying because the experience that I've had, the little experience that I've had with the Champagne Deutz has been that they keep the champagne long on the lease, and that accounts to their low production as well. And also the fact that they don't use all the juice that they make, they use the first press, and it's about quality. And as a result, the cost, you know, the entry level cost of 1,000 rand a bottle for Brut Classique, it's a bit high. It's not, it doesn't break the bank, but it's a bit high. But when we get to bottles such as the Blanc de Blanc, then we talking about 3,000 rand, 4,000 rand a price per bottle. And I think that as a result, the price itself will determine the access to the champagnes. But also, I think it will be for people who really love champagne or love bubbles and understand a little bit the process of what goes into making champagne or MCC or Prosecco. And I think the people who really appreciate that, and they call the people in the know, will probably be the ones that get attracted to know. They're constantly looking for something in addition or for something better. They're quite experimental with their champagne brands. They don't stick to one thing all the time. And I think that what you just said about the MCC and, you know, the culture of, oh, I want a champagne, it's a South African champagne. I think there has been quite a lot of progress that has happened in South Africa. And people who understand what goes into making a bubbly drink have been able to accommodate and appreciate the South African bubbles, the MCC, because they will notice what Jacques is saying in terms of the process that he takes into making the MCC. And like right now, I can't wait to get there on Saturday to taste Jacques' MCC from what he said about his production. I mean, putting it on the list for 10 years, it's marvelous. It must be good. It must taste good, you know.
I think there are plenty of us who can't wait to give that a crack. I know, I think we've now got Daryl with us. We'll join her in just a second, who's the genius behind this particular festival. I do want to ask you, though, Siwela, about the South African palate when it comes to champagne. A number of the places I've been to in the last year or two have increasingly had as a champagne offering on their wine list, on their menu, on their offering, a demi-sec. And while you've got the classic, and it is classic, it's just about exactly a third of Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Meunier, you've also got the demi-sec, which is available and which people will be able to drink at the weekend. Are you seeing more of that in terms of your sales, people embracing that slightly sweeter style? Is it becoming a bigger part of your footprint in South Africa?
I think for us, most of the people, especially because the champagne just is also produced quite slow, with the minimum time being about 3 years on the list. As a result, the champagnes are soft, and I find that even people who love the sweet champagnes really are able to appreciate the Brut Classique. It's not harsh. It's not, it's quite soft. It's very palatable. And they also appreciate the rosé, which is extremely beautiful. But I've heard, a couple of people saying they still prefer the demi-sec. However, I think, it's a range of champagne that anybody can, even the people who are just used to drinking the demi-sec only, are able to drink the Brut Classique. But we do have a demi-sec, which is beautiful. We've, as I said to you earlier when we started the show, we're trying to, break the whole cycle of just drinking champagne as a toasting drink, as a celebrating drink, and moving into adding the, champagne pairing events where we're pairing meals with a bubbly, and we would pair a certain type of meal with a certain bubbly. For example, the Brut Classique goes very well with your white meats, and then the rosé goes well with the red meats. So we're trying to get into, there was the wine pairing with food got quite popular in the past years, but then the champagne pairing or the MCC pairing with food has not really taken off very well in South Africa. We're growing. It's a journey. So we're going to be, giving people the experiences, experiences about champagne, celebrating or dining. So it can be part of the fine dining rather than just wanting to drink it for partying or celebrating. So that is our goal, basically.
You do have several kindred spirits. A number of them have been on the show. I think Peter Ferreira has bubbles with his toast for breakfast every morning. And Ken Forrester, it's a bottle of sparkles and a couple of croissants to get the day going. But you're right. It is something that is the exception rather than the rule, bringing it in to meals. But perhaps this weekend will help to change that as we broaden our knowledge and understanding. Let's welcome to the show the powerhouse behind the Sanlam Private Wealth Johannesburg Cup Classique and Champagne Festival. I think I've got all of that in. Also a good friend of mine for the Cape Wine Auction, which she puts together amongst the many, many, many events of which she is the effortless architect. Darielle Robertson, welcome to the show and lovely to have you with us. Ahead of a really cool weekend. We've got a great sense already from both Khagelo and from Jacques of what's behind their particular brands. We'll find out from them what we're going to be drinking in just a moment. But tell us a little bit more about the festival, what it involves, where it is, and how we can come along and be part of it.
Jeepers, Dan. Well, it's been a long road. We were supposed to do this festival back in 2020, and obviously it got cancelled the week before the event. So it absolutely broke my heart. We tried again last year on several different breaks to try get in somewhere, and it just didn't work. So finally we're here, which is just so super exciting for me. As you can see, I'm in a storeroom talking to you quickly because I am at setup. But we're so excited. We've got over 30 bubblies that you can taste at the different stands. We've got the champagne houses there, like Deutz. We've got Champagne Lanson. We've also got French sparkling wine, Veuve de Venay, and a Prosecco, Val de Prosecco, and then we've got our incredible South African bubbles as well that are on show. So there's something for everyone. There's vintage bubbles, there's rosé, there's demi-sec. There really is something for everyone. So the event is from 11 o'clock till 4 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday. But we have just sold out for Saturday, which I am very excited about. So that's fantastic news. And yeah, we invite you to buy a ticket on Web Tickets and make sure you're vaccinated and come along and enjoy the day. We've got live music, we've got incredible food stalls, and all the wineries that are there are well represented, and the guys are there to teach you about bubbles. They want to have a conversation with you. So don't just come and taste. Come and learn from them and come have a conversation. Hear what their passions are. Hear how they would drink their bubbles. And like everyone's previously said, start early. I mean, we open at 11. If it was my choice, I would open at 8, as that's when I start drinking bubbles. So yeah, we just invite everyone to come and enjoy themselves.
Remind us of a couple of the other South African producers we can look out for, including, I believe, a very special new rosé from the house of Lomora. And then also I've heard rumors that if I'm in blue and white, as I am now, and looking particularly dashing, it might well be worth my while.
100%, Dan. So we have the likes of Steenberg and Simonsig. We've got Le Ormerans there with their brand new bubbles, which is very exciting. We have Black Elephant there. We have Woolworths bringing a few producers. We have Benguela Cove, who've never joined us before, which is quite exciting. Le Brise there. Paul René's there, just to name a few. So it really is exciting. We have loads of South African bubbles, and we ask everyone to dress up. It is an event where we ask people to dress up in their blue and white, and we've got an amazing sponsor this year. So Le Ormerans is sponsoring the best dress competition. So on both days you stand to win not only Le Ormerans bubbly, but also an Okapi handbag. This is valued at over 25,000 rand. So it really is something special and something that I've never done before at my events. I've never had the privilege of being able to give away a prize quite like this. And trust me when I say those bags are pure class. Everyone would want them. So it's worth the effort. Don't worry about the rain. We've got marquees up. That's why we have started a day early to put up the marquees and come and enjoy yourself.
25,000 rand ago, I think I could be persuaded to use an Okapi handbag. That is your best dressed prize. I think I might be giving it out on Saturday. Sadly, not to myself. Daryl, thank you. I know you've got to rush off and put up trestle tables. And Daryl's very professional. She sampled every single bubbles at her festival twice a day for the week building up to it. So I'll let her go back there. Daryl, thank you so much. Good luck this weekend. Jacques, it looks like being a great weekend. What if people are coming along? Are they going to be able to sample what's out, what is current, what's going to be available at the festival from Bon Courage to try out from the Jacques Brière range?
Yeah, well, then, yeah, we got all three of our bubblies there, or the Classiques. We got a Blanc de Blanc 2012 vintage. Then we will have a Brut Reserve, which is a Pinot Noir Chardonnay blend, 60-40, which is 2013 vintage. And then we will have our Cuvée Rosé Brut, which is 80% Pinot Noir and 20% Chardonnay.
So it's quite a selection. As I said, I've got one of them here. In fact, I've also got that Brut Rosé with me as well. I asked a moment ago from the champagne perspective and what people are drinking and how the South African palate is. If you look back at your time of producing bubbles out of Robertson and sending them out to the market, what, say, in the last 10 years, have you seen in terms of a shift of what South Africans are drinking, what's appealing to them, and how their understanding of Cup Classique has changed?
Yeah, well, what I can say is that, well, first of all, I think just keep it plain and simple. Don't try too much different stuff. Well, you can try it and see if you like it. But I'd like to stay conservative with the Cup Classique. The Bon Courage or the Jacques Brière range of Bon Courage is basically we do them all brut. But the main reason for me to not go sweeter is just I feel that that you do put such a lot of effort into that wine, making it and keeping it so long on the lees, and then add sugar to it to make it sweet. Now, yeah, okay, I can believe that people will obviously try the sweeter stuff first, and then maybe go down to the drier stuff. But what we try to achieve with our Classique range is that we will add a little bit of sugar into our own dosage, but there's for me a balance between the acid and the sugar, and so when you taste our Classique, you will have a balance between the sugar and the acidity of the wine, and you will taste not sweet, but you won't taste dry either. So you will just taste a perfectly balanced Classique, so not sweet and not dry, and you will just taste the nice bubbles and flavors that comes from it.
What about the food? We had the talk a moment ago about champagne and food, Cup Classique and food. Are more people seeing Cup Classique as something as more than just an aperitif or a glass to raise in celebration? And if so, if I drop around for lunch and come and join you for a meal, what would I be eating with some of your Cup Classique?
Well, Cup Classique for me is basically you drink it whenever you feel like it. I think go with food. Anything goes with Cup Classique as long as you enjoy it, because it's a celebration. So food is a celebration. Cup Classique is a celebration. So you just do what you want. But if I could recommend, I would do oysters, obviously, with my Blanc de Blanc, and then I will do some sushi, basically sushi and maybe light salads with the Brut Reserve. And then maybe with a pink wine, I think anything goes. Pink and pink strawberries, I think, even for the ladies, because they like it. They like it with a pink Cup Classique. But yeah, for me, anything goes. You drink whenever you feel like it, and you eat whatever you feel like, what you're hungry for. So if you're thirsty, you drink Cup Classique, and if you're hungry, then you just eat what you like, what you've got available.
A remarkably democratic philosophy, and I love the strawberries and the rosé myself as well. I don't think there's any gender to the way we drink wine anymore. Everybody enjoys everything. The question I asked there was what was going to be on show. Let's find out about the Champagne Deutz. If we're coming down this weekend, we can't buy tickets now anymore on Saturday, sold out, but you can come down on Sunday. What champagne is going to be available from the House of Deutz for us to sample?
We're bringing, and I heard you mentioning that we will be bringing demi-sec. We do have demi-sec, but the champagnes that we will be bringing will be for tasting will be the Brut Classique, and which is the non-vintage, and the 2014 vintage millésime of the Classique. And then we will be having Amour de Deutz, which is a Blanc de Blanc, more for sale. Rather than for tasting.
Tell me a little bit about that the Deutz, because I've heard a bit about it. It sounds like it's something rather special.
Okay. It's quite a special one because it stays quite longer on the list. I just cannot tell you how long at the moment, but it's a pure Chardonnay. It's made from purely Chardonnay. It's it's in a very special bottle. I wish we were able to display graphics, but it's absolutely a beautiful Blanc de Blanc. I don't know. I'm not a sommelier. I could probably get the sommelier that we work with to speak more of it, but it's absolutely beautiful.
I think the passion says all of it. So we'll be able to sample that when we are down over the course of the weekend, as well as so many from right around the world. And I think this will apply to both of you, but kicking off you, Talia, it is important for people to understand it's not one versus the other. Yes, on an occasion you can choose, am I going to have some Cup Classique, I'm going to have some champagne, but they live in a complementary world where there are different occasions where you can lean towards one or the other. And while as a South African show, we're very strong advocates of drinking Cup Classique, there's plenty of occasion to drink champagne, but it's also, as we learn more about what we're drinking, it's important to know what the champagne is so that it enhances our understanding of Cup Classique and vice versa.
Absolutely, I agree. And as I said to you earlier, I can't wait to taste Jacques Cup Classiques. I think how he has described the process of how they make the Cup Classics and how long they stay on the lees has just like intrigued my curiosity. And yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward for a very good product.
All right, Jacques, I think we know who's front of the queue when you open up at 11 o'clock on Saturday and probably Sunday as well. Jacques, in closing, just give us a few last thoughts. We celebrated, as we said, 50 years last year, and it was a wonderfully emotional and uplifting year for South African wine, paying tribute to 50 years of our Cup Classiques. We've now moved into the second 50 years. What do you think we still need to do, not to close the gap on champagne in terms of winemaking, because I think we've made it clear they're on two parallel but definitely individual paths. But what do we need to do to improve both the quality and the image of our South African Cup Classique?
Sure. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Yeah, no, so we've been there now for 50 years. So yeah, the next 50 years, yeah, maybe that's for my children to decide. But what I would like to do is, obviously, there will be for us. There's a place for everybody on the show, and there's a place for everybody in the world for their style of wine. So yeah, I think basically we just have to keep on top of our game, and obviously you don't want to be outwitted with from other producers, and so I would like to stay on top of my game and just produce the best quality that we can do, and I think maybe do more research on all the specific cultivars that you can use on it as well, and obviously experimenting with different styles. The time on the lees, I think also maybe even with different yeasts, what we can try to achieve, and yeah, to have your own place. And for me, it's to make the quintessential sparkling. And I try to always to be on top of the game of it, and to be the one to first do it. But yeah, it's a tough thing out there, and I think the competition is really tough. But yeah, we are there, we're playing the game, so it's been, well, I can just say good luck for the next 50 years for Cup Classique and champagne.
There's a restless spirit of adventure and creativity in every single winemaker I've made, and until the day they hang up their barrel for the last time, so to speak, they're always looking at how they can improve, and there's never any resting on laurels. And who wins from that? Well, we do, because we keep getting to experience stuff that is better, that's improved, that has even more excitement to it. And you're going to get a real sense of that this weekend at the Sunderland Private Wealth Cup Classique and Champagne Festival at the Ananda Club. Saturday is sold out, I'm afraid, but Sunday still has some tickets, and what a great way to spend your Sunday. Web Tickets has them, and you'll be able to get in, possibly, if you're dressed rather nicely, win that Akapi handbag and some wine from Lomoran, which will be on show this weekend. It looks like a terrific weekend. I'm going to be there on Saturday. Guys, to both of you, thank you very much. It's going to be my first taste of Champagne Deutz, so I'm very excited, and I look forward to seeing you down there. Jacques, I know your wine well, and it's always a pleasure drinking it. But as I said to you before we went live, I'm a little overdue a trip down to Robertson. Bubbles keeps shouting at me and asking me when I'm getting down to visit the valley. And I know you've got a really exciting new selection of wine routes, which we hope to be visiting soon and celebrating. But for now, celebrating the Bubbles this weekend and celebrating the both of you, to have great champagne and to have great Cup Classique together is a real treat, and that'll be the case this weekend. So enjoy it, and thanks very much for being on the show. Jacques, likewise, and we look forward to drinking Bubbles from both of you over the course of the weekend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. Looking forward to meeting you.
We shall see you there, representing the House of Deutz, part of the Louis Roederer family, but very much its own brand. Kaleho and McCoy, together with Itumeleng, bringing it into South Africa and starting to make a few ripples. And one of the many brewers to dot around Robertson, Jacques from Bon Courage, where I've always, every time I've been, had a terrific welcome. And I must say, I drank a bottle with Michael Fridge on of the 2010 about 3-4 weeks ago, and it was alive, it was fresh, it was a real treat, and that said a lot about South African Cup Classique in general, Robertson in particular, and Bon Courage specifically. So there we go. That does it for this week. We'll plan just a moment with a reminder of this week's competition, your chance to get to Franschhoek with the team at Bellingham and enjoy a 5-course meal with you and 3 friends at Chef Darren Badenhorst's Le Coin Francais. It's a terrific restaurant, a terrific chef, and with vintage Bellingham being dished up, a terrific night out that lies ahead. All you need to do is, well, watch the video now and you'll find out. I'll see you down at the festival this weekend if you're there. Otherwise, I will see you from Brookdale, celebrating International Malbec Day on Monday. Have a great weekend. Keep supporting, keep drinking great wine. This is Dan Really Likes Wine, presented by Pick n Pay. Cheers. This month's competition is brought to you by Bellingham, and it's the chance to head out to Le Coin Francais. That's in the heart of Franschhoek. 4 people, a 5-course tasting menu prepared by Chef Darren Badenhorst, paired with vintage Bellingham wine. Superb food from an absolutely outstanding chef and some really good vintage Bellingham wine. And that is all yours. Simply tell us why on our social media channels. You should be the winner of this particular prize. Let us know. And 4 of you could be spending an evening at Le Coin Francais, dining fabulously and drinking wonderful wine. To join the Pick n Pay Wine Club, simply SMS your smart shopper number to 36775. It's absolutely free, and you'll get for yourself 3 times the smart shopper points on every bottle of wine bought. You'll also get a 20% discount on 10 different wines each month, a 25% discount on a case of wine, and a Magnum, some terrific competitions and invitations to awesome events.